So this book, What Ails the IAS, sorry, in the third chapter, gives various examples of IAS officers who got headlines. Okay. He gives a variety of them. We can examine these examples. Okay. Venkat, you are in a position to read that. Can you tell me what is that about?
Yes, sir.
Have you heard of her before?
No, sir. No.
Vishal, have you heard of her? Can you read what is there on the board?
Should I, sir?
No, can you, I mean, are you in a position to read?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, now I'm asking Vishal. I think you have to unmute Vishal.
Yes, sir. I am able to read.
You heard of her before?
I vaguely remember, sir. I was in college back then. But
okay. So Durga Shakti Nagpal, a 2010 IAS officer, in her first posting as an SDM. Okay, what does SDM stand for?
Subdivisional magistrate.
Subdivisional?
Magistrate.
Magistrate. Subdivisional magistrate. So what is the first posting of an IAS officer?
SDM.
SDM only. Okay. So first posting as an SDM took an all-powerful sand mining mafia in UP. Okay. And she was immediately suspended, not even transferred. Okay. Do you know what suspension is? No job unless reinstated. Dismissed is no job forever, but suspension is suspension for some time. Okay. And SP leader and cabinet minister at the time went about bragging, it took me just 41 minutes to get her suspended. Okay. So what do you make of something like this? So Venkat, what is the advantage of doing something like this and disadvantage? Since these are famous cases, you can remember them and write in the examination. Okay.
So here, political leaders has advantage of.
What are the advantages and disadvantages in this?
Because they go further about the sand mining mafia. They can do further.
What they get
They get the opportunity to do more sand mining, sir. If they take out from their postings.
They get the opportunity to sand mine.
Yeah, I'm talking about political leaders.
I'm not talking about political leaders. I'm asking about the officer.
Achha, okay.
You are thinking of yourself as a politician, Venkat. I thought you think as an officer.
No, sir. I thought you asked about.
So as an officer, what do you think?
Actually, she thought of. Actually, if an IAS officer wanted to do some good things, yeah, like this they can do. If everyone supports. If
So
no
basically, I think Venkat, you don't approve of this.
Sir, I didn't get you, sir.
You don't approve of this. You don't approve of what she did.
No, I approve, sir, because yeah, she wanted to do that, but unfortunately, she had been taken out from that.
But you don't think she should have known?
Yes, sir. She would be knowing all those things, but yeah. But ultimately, maybe she thought of sticking to her values in the first place.
Vishal, what is your idea? What do you think?
Sir, can you please give me the question again?
What is your idea? What do you think of her? Do you think she did a good thing or a bad thing? What are the advantages and disadvantages? She takes on and then suspended within 41 minutes. Suspended.
Sir, so I read the
Was she so naive or?
chapter.
Hmm?
I read the chapter and also few articles. I think she did the right thing
This
because
person.
of the reasons involved.
Hmm.
And I feel she did a very courageous thing.
She did a courageous thing, no doubt. But was it a right thing? Charan, please tell me.
Yes, sir.
Participants, right? Charan, tell me.
Sir, I think she just made a statement. The nation came to know how straightforward an officer she is and how strict an officer she is.
I think that's right.
So that's absolutely right. And when you are taking against illegal sand, when you are taking against mafia, sand mining mafia, it's obviously right. There is no question about being wrong.
Yeah. I think essentially she made a statement about herself.
Yes, sir. The nation
This
just
is
came
me.
one single act, and the entire nation know how perfect you are.
Exactly.
And then the fact,
Uncompromising. Whether I don't know whether it is perfect or not, we'll look into it. But
yes,
you are
sir.
going to be tough.
Yes, sir. She made a statement, and that's very clear. And the side effect is visible. The political problems that she faced.
So some people make a statement like this in the very beginning of their career. Okay. So I don't know whether she will be in a position to contain sand mining mafia or not. But we can take it as a statement on herself. Okay. You do something bold and announce to the world this is what you are. So that others define how they should relate to you. Okay. So first posting, very young, and then it takes on a cabinet minister. And people were shocked, people supported, and it became a national news. And do you know, she was reinstated and taken to the center though. Her suspension was revoked. She was taken to the central government. So did she stop the sand mafia? She didn't. But should that be the only purpose? Not necessarily. Okay. So sometimes you make a statement, you may not be in a position to stop it. She may not have thought if she tried to stop that would actually lead to stopping. Okay. She might have thought this is what I'm going to do and let the consequences be. She may not have expected suspension, but definitely she may have expected transfer, whatever. So you can always calculate your consequences and then take on. It's not at all necessary that you should always be in the good books of politicians. It's not necessary. Okay. Especially coming from a very young officer in her first posting. So that may define her for the rest of her life. And also, this is an instance where if an officer is doing something, people may support. People have supported her. It became a big news. And because of which she was reinstated. Of course, it's not likely that she won't be reinstated. Okay. But when an administrator is popular, people are likely to support. So you can, it's not just about making a statement about herself, but about others involved, and more importantly. That is true. But probably most people know who are the others involved. Okay. Often people know about the political corruption. Okay. Of course, sometimes it is exposing, but sometimes it may not be exposing. It may simply be stating it. I'm here, I won't accept. Sometimes it may be a secret, sometimes it is not a secret. People know, but officer is saying you can't, it cannot be done, it cannot be done like that anymore. So these are, I want you to take it as a variety of statements, variety of responses. Okay. Now go through this. Are you able to read this? This is about a senior IAS officer. P.S. Appu joined service in 1951. Left the service in 1982. So 30 plus years. When he was the director of IAS Academy. That is at Mussoorie. When somebody whom he dismissed, when he dismissed a trainee, probationer, but he came back because he had political connections. Then P.S. Appu retired, he resigned. And then he wrote this letter to the Prime Minister. Prime Minister then was, can you guess who was the Prime Minister? Indira Gandhi. Okay. The letter said it would be impossible to maintain the desired level of discipline at the academy. When I consider to inculcate in them are the values of professional competence, political neutrality, social commitment, fearlessness, and impartiality and integrity. I took this quotation because these are the things that Appu thought are the desirable values. Your examination asks so many times about values of civil servant. If high standard of discipline cannot be preserved at the academy, it would be more difficult to do so at other places. Hence, I decided to leave the service. Okay. So we dismissed one probationer, and the probationer was doing all kinds of things, including threatening people with a revolver. And he dismissed, but he came back, and Appu resigned and wrote this to the Prime Minister. This became a famous case. And do you know the result? That probationer was dismissed, but Appu did not join. So he was asked to join. Okay. But tell me, what are the variables you will look into whether what he did was right or wrong? Rohita, what are the variables you will look into?
Variables means,
I mean, whether the decision is right or wrong. What
I'm
is it?
thinking,
Huh?
like, okay, he is also making some statement. So how
He's also
just
making a statement, but finally, why should he leave the service?
I mean that's how he make a statement, right?
But by leaving service, what is the statement? People know that IAS officers have become like that. Why should you leave your service? What do you say, Vishal?
I think he was disgusted with the fact that such a person could exist in this service.
That's true, but why should he resign? Venkat?
I think if
So maybe he wanted to, with his resignment, he wanted to impact it like more. There will be more impact.
Rohita, to make it a news, but why? No, was it right for him to resign on an incident like that? Especially when they said, we'll dismiss him. So, you don't look at his age. Joined in 1951 and left the service in 1982, and he already had 30 years of service, and he thought it's enough. Utilitarianism. I mean, do you think my point is valid or it's not valid?
It's valid, sir.
Very much. That is why when Socrates was dying, remember, he was old. We don't know whether the decision would be appropriate if he was young. But under hopeless situations, maybe it would be appropriate. Bhagat Singh wanted to die. I mean, he was prepared to die. So it is not that dying for a principle, but you have to see the overall consequences. Gandhi also wanted to die for a cause, but definitely he wanted to die at the end, not when he was dying. Okay. So he must have thought he already reached a director of academy. It is a very prestigious post. He already worked in various positions and he thought, okay, let me retire and nothing much to do. That's all. But if this incident hadn't happened, he would have continued. But this happened, he felt okay about it. He's making a statement. But I don't think that decision would be right if he was an SDM. That would be a meaningless statement. Okay. So you have to reflect on consequences of your decisions. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So you can never leave utilitarianism. You can never leave utilitarianism. So it's a very powerful way of looking at things. Because what is the principle? Should always think of the consequences. Yeah, Faisal, who resigned in protest and joined back, regretting his decision to quit. Yes. But we can see later whether the decision to quit was right or what were the options and right. That is a different issue. But of course, these things are there. Okay, so your action has certain consequences and you have to think of the consequences. And I think you can remember his name and also you can quote him. Okay. These are the values he said he would like to inculcate. People from Andhra Pradesh are familiar with this man. S.R. Sankaran, 1957 batch. The most striking thing about S.R. Sankaran is that he lived an extremely simple life. Bachelor plus very simple life. So much that he used to donate part of his salary to various causes. He worked as a secretary for social welfare in Andhra Pradesh and he toured many villages to enforce abolition of Bonded Labor Act. He was not liked by Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh. So he went to Tripura where he was invited by the Chief Minister. So he worked as Chief Secretary of Tripura under Nripen Chakravarti for 6 years. And look at the kind of Chief Minister that Nripen was. Chief Minister once spent a night sleeping on a bench in the veranda as he didn't want to disturb single room rest house where Sankaran was. So both were such a good combination. Ideology. Okay. Sankaran was regarded as an epitome of service orientation. He thought of nothing other than serving. Very much committed. Had no extracurricular activities. Awarded Padma Bhushan in 2005, but he declined. And even after his retirement, he did not resign. Even after his retirement, he worked with an organization that was involved in freeing manual scavengers. Which was by Bezawada Wilson. See this one. He was involved in the activities of Safai Karmachari Andolan founded by Bezawada Wilson. And Bezawada Wilson later got Maxis Award, Roman Maxis Award for his work on freeing manual scavengers. So you can see some IAS officers are completely devoted. But all IAS aspirants talk like this at the time of entry. Why are you here? Why do you want civil service? We are committed to do that, social service, that, this. Okay. But they rarely live a life of service. Sankaran is an excellent example. He was chosen to be a director of IAS Academy at Mussoorie. But before that, Naxalites kidnapped him, or Maoists kidnapped him. And it was alleged that I mean, the image of Sankaran was so good. It was alleged that Sankaran only allowed himself to be kidnapped by Maoists. Okay. And that worked against him, and finally he was not given that post. Thinking that if Sankaran was given that post, IAS probationers might learn those values of Sankaran. So they didn't want the probationers to learn those values. Okay. But in fact, there was no evidence that he allowed himself to be kidnapped. Okay. So some people are more very close to people and more like an NGO. They just occupy government chair, but their mind is not on power. So they're truly committed to service. There is absolutely no doubt about it. It is not for power or prestige. And also he is an extremely humble man. Extremely humble man. I just happen to have met him once. I don't remember my question, but I did ask one question. And you know what he said? He simply said, "See, I don't know. I really don't think theoretically." I was just stunned. He could have given some answer, but he didn't. He just said, "I actually don't know. I don't think theoretically." He said, okay. He didn't think he should give some answer to impress or not sound ignorant. Okay. So, he's a completely different man. So that's why even government recognized that it wanted to give Padma Bhushan, but he declined. Also, making tours, one very important thing an IAS officer can do and good IAS officers do is touring. Just don't stay in office. You stay only for a few days. Okay, go around, meet people, and wherever you go, so many people come with so many petitions, of course. Spend time, you learn more rather than trying to get everything through official reports. Because if a person has to come to your office, district collector's office or SDM's office, they take a lot of time, and then here there are queues. Whereas if you go to the village, you know the problem, you have a first-hand experience, and also there is also an informal communication. Because many people keep talking, and you observe, you ask. Wherever you go, crowds follow, and when you have a good image, then more people will come. Image is very important. So even if you solve one problem, more people will come. Okay. So why is it important to have an image? It is because of image only people come to you. So if you have image of honesty, if you deliver things, then the people will come. If you have image otherwise, then different sorts of people will come to you. Okay. Actually, it is not true that the politicians punish all honest officers. It's not actually true. Politicians need honest officers also. they have some schemes and they want those schemes to be successful. How do you get them successfully done? So they want honest officers only. Okay. But sand mafia, they don't want to be stopped. So if you want to stop, you get into head-on pollution. But they have some welfare scheme and they want it done. Okay. Okay. Honest plus loyal, they want it done. Then they want it. They want you. So it is not true that honest officer always gets into trouble. A honest officer should see what does he want and what does a politician want, which schemes they want me to do, which schemes they don't want me. Okay, it does not mean you shouldn't to do whatever they don't want you to do. It's not like that. Okay. So sometimes confrontation, sometimes cooperation. Okay. But successful people are the people who know how to cooperate, who know how to handle the system. They are not always in a quarreling mode. They know the limitations and they think that they should use that chair as an opportunity to do something good. Okay. So it is not always like politicians want the rules to be broken and the officers want things to be done honestly. It's not like that. They want honest on officers as well as dishonest officers. Dishonest officers for some purpose, honest officers for some other purpose. Okay. So, because of all these things, your image is very important. So, once you are known as a honest officer, only a particular kind of work will continue. And when you are known as a dishonest officer, then another kind of work will continue. Honest and dishonest is one factor, but efficiency and inefficiency is another factor. Shibon, tell me.
Sir, good morning, first of all. Sir, actually, don't you think that along with honesty, courage is also important, or guts is also
Sure.
important?
Very much, very much.
Yes, sir, because I think all, at least 50% officers are, I think they are honest. But
Yes.
what they lack is courage or guts to
Yes.
implement something or to face something directly on the field.
Of course, very much.
Yes, sir.
Honesty plus courage. Both. Okay. So we are discussing how honest people are needed. Okay. I came across one case. I was shocked. I was associated with one organization for some time, an educational organization. I found that organizational culture was very, very bad. People, I felt they were so mean to each other, no trust. But in that organization, I came across one man who is liked by all. And I noticed if there are so many mean and selfish people, they are actually drawn to somebody who is above that meanness, because it's something precious. I was surprised. So two mean people don't really get along well because they keep on calculating. So if somebody is above, then people trust. Okay. And also politicians say if a honest bureaucrat disagrees with the politician and he is honest with everybody, politician also is not offended. So basically the problem with MLA faces is that MLA has to tell his people, I can get it done through this officer. Okay. So if the officer is honest with everybody and nobody is in a position to get an unfair thing done through him, this MLA is not offended. On the other hand, MLA cannot get things done. He can't get it done, and so his rival can get it done. Then he has a problem. It is like that. So politicians also have their own way of handling bureaucrats. They don't have the same approach. Because, politician doesn't have absolute power. For example, an MLA, a powerful MLA, suppose he gets collector transferred. First of all, chief minister may not listen. Assume MLA is so powerful and a minister and gets collector transferred. Next collector comes. Suppose he disagrees. But it doesn't mean minister can get him transferred again. No. Okay, so minister's power is limited, MLA's power is limited, even chief minister's power is limited. So no one has absolute power. So what they do is they first try to get along well with the bureaucrat. They don't want to quarrel. So when they can't get along and when it is difficult to negotiate, beyond a point, they use other tools, be it transfer and other things. It's not that the moment you refuse to be their servant, they want to transfer. It is not done like that. They try to negotiate, they try to find out your terms, what they can do with you and what is not possible, what can be done through others. Okay, so they calculate just the way you can calculate. No one has absolute power. Their power works within a range and they want to ensure things are done within. And politicians are always sensitive to public opinion. That's another thing. What media says. If a person is popular, then they think twice. Okay. Remember, politicians are even more calculated, far more utilitarian. So they simply go by plus and minus and what they should do, rather than go by prestige or by any principle. Because by nature they are more calculated. So these are all various approaches to administration. Okay, look at this person. This is an unusual thing. Maybe you heard of it. Armstrong Palmer, a Naga. He was of 2009 batch IAS. Posted off as SDM in that place in Manipur. And there was a bad need for a road transport. That was least connected terrain. And people had been asking for the road and the road never came. And what he did was he raised funds for a road through social media using Facebook. And 100 kilometers road in Manipur to Nagaland, Assam, and finally where highway was connected was laid. That was called People's Road. This was a very unusual initiative, and he got Young Global Leader Award by World Economic Forum. He came to be called a miracle man. So he says, I will post that video where he gave a TED talk. He said that villagers asked, we are also, I think he went by some motorcycle or something like that. I mean, so we also don't have road, and why don't you do something? Then they said, well, then they got an idea that maybe they themselves can. It seems that one person who was earning only 200 rupees per month said that he would contribute 5 months of his salary towards road, 205,000 rupees. Then this officer understood there was a lot of demand. And then he started raising funds. He contributed his salary and then the salary of everybody in his family. He created an account proper transparency system, and he used technology of geotagging to exactly find out how much was it going on and who were contributing, how much their names displayed. So much of information technology was used in this initiative. And people were behind. They were contributing. It seems even people from Facebook came and contributed something to this. So this was an unusual, completely new idea. But of course, we shouldn't forget that in the Northeast, people doing things on their own was a tradition. Villages had that tradition. But in the rest of India, villages had that tradition, but now it is gone. Okay, now there is too much dependence on government. And I think if the program is very much in demand by the people want it bad, and then they will be willing to contribute. So this is an example of people's participation in administration. So one should identify the right scheme, something in demand. People are even willing to contribute, and they contribute in a variety of ways, including some people contributing in terms of poems. Oh. So I'll post that video and watch. Arun Bhatia was also famous IAS, is also a famous IAS officer. He had 26 transfers in his life. And he once prosecuted a sitting chief secretary for awarding road contracts for wrong persons. He was as a commissioner and he was transferred. And then what happened was citizens went to Bombay High Court against the transfer. And the court said the decision to transfer Bhatia is so outrageous that it defies all logic and any moral standard, and reinstated it. This took place in 1990. So this is a case of where when an officer is very popular, then certain political actions are revoked. But in recent years, one officer has become very famous just for these transfers. Tell me, should you do job like this? Ashok Khemka, 1991 Haryana batch. He was best known for cancelling a 57 crore land deal between a real estate company and Robert Vadra, son-in-law of Sonia Gandhi, in 2012, when the Congress government was in power. He was transferred 51 times in 24 years of service. So tell me, should one do job like this? What do you say, Shivangi? Do you think you said courage is needed. Do you think it's a matter of courage and this courage is needed, or is it misplaced courage? What is your answer, Shivangi?
Sir, of course, courage is required for these kinds of act, like acting against corruption. For sure, courage is required. But sir, my doubt is like in initial classes, like in our first class when we were dealing with this same topic, like rules and values, right?
No,
Our
I am asking one question. Why don't you answer? This person was transferred 51 times in 24 years. So definitely he is a man of courage. That's what you also agree.
Yes,
but
sir.
Is the courage misplaced or rightly placed?
Sir, I think it is misplaced.
Okay. Why do you think it is misplaced?
Sir, actually, he should have actually performed. According to my opinion, he should have performed to showcase whatever courage or whatever values or principles he have.
Okay. So courage should finally be expressed in performance.
Yes, it should be expressed in performance so that at least people can evaluate you in terms of your performance. Like, yes.
Exactly. So many IAS officers are not for this approach. Because the moment you take on, you will be transferred. Occasionally you should, if it is an issue. But if you are getting these many transfers, means you are not in a position to deal with the system. You don't understand. Vishal, do you agree with this or you don't?
Yes, sir. I am trying to compare with Durga Shakti Nagpal, the action that she did, and with what Ashok Khemka has done.
But in her case, that was first transfer. But this man, the transfer has become his habit, isn't it?
Yes, sir. But as you mentioned, you said we should take that action sometimes when it's necessary.
Exactly.
So probably he was doing this for every, say, not for
his idea of what he is for and why he is for may be wrong. Okay. He gave one TED speech. He said that administration, he compares administration like a cricket game where there are 11 players and then umpire. And if the rules are violated, will there be fun in the game? Will the game serve its purpose? Okay. So he said some people are like Duryodhanas who want to destroy, who have power to destroy the system. And some people are like Bhishmas who know what is right, but they will not act on. So he said he was not either. He was not for them either. He was not for Bhishmas, not for Duryodhanas. He said he should be like Arjuna. But then his idea of administration was like cricket game, clear-cut rules and umpiring. What do you want to say, Mayank?
So I went through his interviews.
You know him more, right, Ashok Khemka?
Yes, sir. So I went through one of his interviews a while back, and then he was saying in that interview that the role of an IAS officer is to implement the laws that are there. The scope for innovation is not there for an IAS officer. So is what he said.
No, the role of officer is to implement the laws.
Yes, sir.
What do you say between these two options? Implement the rules or to perform, to do something good for the people? What do you say between A and B?
So the outcome is more important.
Exactly. So when a person is being constantly transferred, will any outcome be possible?
No, sir.
So don't you think his view of administration itself is wrong?
Yes, sir.
So I think the analogy with cricket is wrong. The analogy should be with a jungle. The world is a jungle. Administration is a jungle. So in a jungle, how do you make out and create better outcomes? Okay.
So he said one more thing. He said,
Hmm.
if I don't stay true to my conscience, I'll have bad sleep at night and I'll get diseases and all that.
What if I don't do?
If I don't stay true to my conscience.
Okay. But that is true. But why should conscience be like that? Conscience depends upon what he thinks is right. But why should one define right like that? He's of course going by conscience only. But his conscience is to do something right. So he thinks it is right. That is what we are questioning.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So many IAS officers are not for this approach because they think officer is not there to simply to expose people. It's not simply to expose. Exposing can be a part of what you have to do, but ultimately you should do something. Because even if you don't expose, people in general think things are wrong. Okay, what do you expose? You maximum expose specific set of people. You don't need to educate people on how the system is. People know how the system is. You only expose a particular politician and a particular scheme. That's all. Or a particular rule violation. That is not so important. So finally, what is it that you do is more important. So that's why many officers are not for this approach of Khemka. They think this misplaced courage. Okay, so an officer should be evaluated in terms of outcomes, finally outcomes. Of course, if something is too serious and any outcome is not possible, then exposure itself can serve a function. There's no doubt. Certain issues are too big and you can't do anything about it and expose them. That's all. That is, you can't do anything more than exposing. So it does not mean you should compromise and then be interested only in doing and never expose. It's not like that. Mayank, you want to say something?
Yes, sir. So, but what if we get a situation where we can have a larger number of officers who behave in a similar manner?
You have a larger number of officers who are like Ashok Khemka.
Yes, sir. So then the politicians won't have a chance to bring someone
That is
who
true, but that is not the way the society is. That is not the way administration is for. That is not the way life is. The idea that the things should be run as per the rules is a wrong idea. That is a wrong idea in first place. You know, in more recent transfer, I mean, we don't know whether that is the cause. A minister was using an vehicle of some junior officer, and then he gave a notice. Minister returned, but then that people say that caused this transfer. We don't know. Okay. But I would say a better approach is what is the level of misuse of government machinery in this district, in my department, and then think, I will reduce it. That's all. Not that I will chase every violation of the rule. It is not like that. Because you can easily pass a rule where it says that whenever minister asks a car from MRO, that should be sent to minister. One can pass a rule like that. So what is the sanctity of the rule? What do you say, Mayank?
Yes, sir.
What is the sanctity of rule? What is the sanctity of democracy? What is the sanctity of capitalism? We are living in an approximate society. That's all. We are living in a society where some kind of justice is done approximately. It is nothing more than that. Why should IAS officers be given so many powers compared to a minister? There can always be laws which say that commissioners are subordinates to a particular minister. So clear subordinates. Whatever be the rules whatever we say, you should follow. Like that, laws can be passed and laws need not be just. And many laws are not just. So what I'm saying is that we should see that the world is complex. Okay, some rules are made, but no rule with an intention of 100% implementation. No. My favorite example is Preamble. If Preamble is worded like that, with full knowledge that it is not going to be implemented. So if people are going to be treated with equality, liberty, how will society survive? It's just not possible. Let the judiciary treat people equally. The whole thing will be turned upside down. If minister is corrupt, he will be closely investigated. But if a petty thief steals something, he will be thrashed in a police cell. That is what justice is. And to support a minister, there will be a battery of lawyers in Supreme Court, but nobody to defend a thief, petty thief. That is the nature of the society. You are not the ruler of the universe. You have a particular position and try to improve the situation using the position and nothing more than that. What do you say, Mayank?
Yes, sir. So we should look at rules and laws to get to the outcome rather than just the process.
Exactly. They are not sacrosanct at all. Okay, the analogy of cricket itself is wrong. So this is what okay. Now
Sir, sir, you told about our conscience should be like that, based on our performance, like how to look at something based on our performance, like how to act, right? Sir, my question is like, how to build that kind of conscience, sir? Because it's not possible. Like if my values are something different and work which is going on field is different, sir, then how anything will be implemented in that way?
you mean your values are different and work that is going on is different.
Yes.
But why should the world run according to your values? You are just one among the people living. There are so many others also, right? Maybe what is going on is as per their values. Why should your values be supreme just because one pass one examination? The world should run according to your values. We are just one of the participants in the world. I mean, isn't it so?
Yes, sir, that is for sure. But
I think it is that attitude we should have. We are not gods. We have an opportunity to do a little bit, and we should do that. And that is the position of anybody, that includes the Prime Minister also. Can Prime Minister do what all he wants to do, whatever? It's not possible. He has his own limitations. American president has his own limitations. So each person is given some little role. And in that little role, just do one's best. That's all. Don't quarrel with the world. Because you are not the only one who is driving. There are so many others. So vehicles clash, ideals clash. Okay.
Okay, sir. Means we have to be a crusader and plus a doer.
Exactly. Crusader and doer, and more importantly, one should understand the world is complex. We are only one of the participants. We just do our little bit. It may look big to others, but it's just little bit. I mean, that's how I see it. And this is true of Prime Minister also, not simply an IAS officer. The world is run by too many people and too complex forces. And we have certain values. We have examined actually whether those values are valid or not, whether the value of equality is actually natural or not. So we are a part of a very complex system. So we do our little bit of what we think is right. That's all.
Okay, sir.
It may be very demotivating, but I think that is the truth, and that is the attitude one should have, and that is also a source of humility. I mean, this is a constraint to everybody, including American president. Obama may have a very clear idea of what Israel should be and what Palestine should be, but what could he do? For 8 years, he has been president, and he couldn't withdraw army from Afghanistan. What did he achieve in those 8 years? Nothing. He was not only popular, but Nobel Peace Prize. But what did he do? He left that, he didn't make any unpopular decision, and finally Biden had to take the decision for which he became unpopular, but a decision that should have been taken long ago by Obama. So nobody has absolute power. It's always about reading the situation and trying to improve it in an incremental way. And sometimes that incremental improvement is not possible. Make a statement and get out. That is also another way. Okay. Alphons. So 1979 batch IAS. Okay. He made Kerala first, one town in Kerala, first 100% literate town. And he got named as this. As a commissioner of Delhi Development Authority, he demolished many illegal buildings. Came to be called Demolition Man. Times 100 and global leaders in 1994. Retired from service in 1996. Voluntary retirement. Now he's a minister. Became a minister later. He was an independent MLA and then Communist Party, and then joined BJP and became BJP minister. Very unusual career. Very bold. Okay, this is what he said. I believe that over 50% of officers in the IAS are honest, but less than 1% have guts. He tells in an interview that so many people did not believe that demolition was possible. But he went. And then by the time he finished his tenure, his entire staff was very much confident that anything could be demolished. And he says, I just enjoyed when the whole building was collapsing like that. I just enjoyed it. So he got such a fascination. So basically, he said he proved that what you think is impossible is possible. And then he actually said something about the transfers also. I did so many things, and I was not transferred. So he said he did things when everybody around him thought that was just not possible. Okay. Praveen Pardeshi, 1985 batch, as additional chief secretary, most trusted by Chief Minister of Maharashtra. This is a different case. He helped rehabilitate victims of earthquake in Latur in 1993. And he gave support for relief and rehabilitation plan for flood hit areas in Kerala in 2008. He did excellent work in promoting community forest rights for tribals. Here is a case where they get along very well with the politicians and do a great job. Okay. So some people get along very well with the chief minister, and then they try to figure out what are chief minister's priorities and then do. But does it mean that chief minister at that time was not corrupt? It is not like that. It is just that this officer won't be involved in it. Okay. So some people identify their area. In fact, many times IAS officers, they say they are specializing in certain areas, so that even after retirement they can work in that area, take a UN assignment or in private sector like that. So it can be disaster management, family planning, sanitation, water management. So they actually learn, they gain experience. They know how to run schemes. And because they are successful and efficient, politicians cooperate. Because remember, politicians want many, many things to get done. It's not only about their private interests. And there is one case where a honest officer is punished. This became controversial. Okay, go through this. There were some questions set on this. H.C. Gupta was convicted by a CBI court in 2017. He chaired a committee that made recommendations for coal allocation. So he made recommendations for coal allocation. and some people made profit. Then CAG report and then the court, and it was said that there was a huge corruption, and for this he was jailed. So 3 former cabinet secretaries, through newspaper articles, put on record their appreciation of Gupta's integrity. So this is a case where certain arbitrary decisions led to profits of others, but he did not make money. So should he be criminally investigated? According to the Section 13 Prevention of Corruption Act, it says it makes any civil servant criminally liable if this act leads to pecuniary benefit to anyone and which is deemed to be not in public interest. So can anyone explain what that Section 13 says? Venkat, what is your explanation? What does it mean? For example, if you are an officer, for you to be jailed, should you have taken bribes?
No, sir. I mean, yeah, that is what this section says, right?
So can you be jailed when you yourself did not take a bribe? That is the question.
No, sir. But this case is very unusual.
What is that?
No, sir, no, but this case is very unusual.
Mayank, what's your answer?
So I think what they're saying is in Section 13, if anybody benefits, if a private entity benefits from a decision that is not in
So
public.
if because of the decisions, if somebody made illegal money, you can be jailed.
Yes, sir.
Isn't it? Should that provision be there, or should be a provision only when only one can be jailed only when he has taken the bribe? That is, can you be jailed even when you have not taken the bribe? Yes or no?
So I think that ideally that should not be the case, but then, so ideally that should not be the case.
Okay, ideally it shouldn't be the case.
Yes, so when you yourself haven't taken the bribe, but
Charan, please.
Irrespective of who is getting benefited, when you are the reason behind wasting resources, you should be jailed.
What is that? If
irrespective of who is gaining out of the wasted resources, when you are the reason behind resource being wasted, you should be jailed, sir.
You mean when the reason behind the decision is unfair, you should be jailed?
Yes, sir. Even
if you have not made money.
Yes, sir. Here, punishment is not for making money, but for wasting resources.
No, it is about making money. That's fine. Leads to pecuniary benefit, whatever, material benefit.
It's not about him making money. Whoever is making money, he is the reason behind it, because he is the chairman and he should monitor those things.
Whoever is making money, he is the reason behind it, and so he should be punished.
Here, the central thing is resource being wasted because of him.
Resources being misused because of him. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So I think we should differentiate between bonafide and malafide errors.
Okay, bonafide versus malafide. Bonafide means he didn't know that he was making a wrong decision, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Malafide means he knew he was making a wrong decision.
Yes, sir, and that someone was going to get illegal benefits out of it.
Okay. Okay. So finally you are saying that Section 13 can be there, but when the decision is malafide only, he should be jailed, not bona fide.
Exactly, sir.
Okay. So this section became controversial, and some IAS officers argued that H.C. Gupta should not be jailed because he did not make money. Okay. Whereas others argued his decisions were wrong and because of which ministers made money. Okay, that was argument. But I think it is reasonable to argue that if bona fide, then he should not be punished. And if mala fide, he should be punished, even if he did not make money, isn't it?
Exactly, sir.
Fine, you can take that position. Because, I mean, there was an article in Scroll I post. Just 1 second. There was an article in Scroll which said that why are IAS officers supporting Gupta and not Khemka, who exposed many things. Okay, and who was being transferred. Okay. Because Gupta was a very senior officer and he did many things. Maybe that's why even cabinet secretaries thought of speaking for him. Okay, but that is an issue. That is an issue. That is a. But those who criticize this section, they say, if you don't prove quid pro quo, then it is a bona fide. But maybe one can disagree with that. If there is quid pro quo, then it is mala fide only. But even if there is no quid pro quo, still it can be mala fide, isn't it? So this comes under a larger issue that officers are not able to decide because one day they may be punished, though they are upright. Okay. So we look into, for example, there was a question, honesty and in 2019, honesty and uprightness are the hallmarks of civil servants. Civil servants possessing these qualities are considered as the backbone of any strong organization. In line of duty, they take various decisions. At times, some become bona fide mistakes. As long as such decisions are not taken intentionally and don't benefit personally, the officer cannot be said to be guilty. Those such decisions may at times lead to unforeseen adverse consequences in the long term. In the recent past, a few instances have surfaced wherein civil servants have been implicated for bona fide mistakes. They have often been prosecuted and even imprisoned. The instances have greatly rattled the moral fiber of the civil servants. How does this trend affect the functioning of the civil services? And what measures can be taken to ensure that the honest officers are not implicated for the bona fide mistakes on their part? So this is one issue. So any comment on this? So there are so many comments on chart. Section should be present because then only arbitrary decisions will be otherwise the path of public interest. Fine. Okay.